Thank you for joining us today for Sunday Conversations. Today, we begin a series titled Failure to Communicate, where we get some inside scoop of how different couples handle situations. Sit back, enjoy, and delight yourselves with these conversations. Well, good morning. Welcome to Sunday Conversations. I'm Minister Isaac, and I am back for a series that God brought to me where I'm bringing married couples in, and the title of it is Failure to Communicate. And we're going to dive into some conversation with several different couples that are part of the ministry. And as we move forward, we're just going to get enlightenment on how they dealt with situations, how they went through the situation, how that they overcame that situation of failure to communicate. And then we'll get into some backdrops of the couple, and we're going to make it fun. But the object of it is to show you that we are Christians and we have issues too, and we deal with things and we overcome them. So my first couple for this series today is Minister Alex and his wonderful wife, Elysse. What up?
What's going on?
How you guys doing?
Not too bad.
Can't complain.
So we're going to dive right into this thing. We're going to dive right into it. So for the people that don't know, first question, how long have you guys been married?
12 years. It'd be 13 years in December.
It'd be 13 in December. Okay, where did you meet?
Western Connecticut State University.
Yeah, we met in college.
So you met in college. Okay, awesome. College sweethearts. Since what it says that most couples that meet in college always get married and they build a life from there.
Now what's crazy is we met in college, but we didn't start dating until I was out of school.
Yeah.
I wasn't even in school at the time, and that's how we got together afterwards.
Oh wow. That's awesome. Okay. So I know that you have 4 wonderful boys, and their names are
Isaiah, Ezekiel, Xavier, and Zayden.
I like how she got to look up She got to look up and actually read it so she remember all the names.
I got to read all the names in my head.
That is awesome. Okay, so we know that you guys are from 2 different backgrounds, because Elysse was raised in Connecticut,
yes,
and Alex, you was raised in all over because you are a military child, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
Okay, awesome. So first, you guys can lead off and say, what is the difference in how that you was raised, or how that you looked at a situation that Alex, that you may thought was difficult, or at least that you may thought that was difficult, but the other looked at it as in like, what are you stressing about? So whatever that you choose to actually talk about, I'm going to give the floor to you, and then when you finish talking about it, then of course I'll come back and I'll ask some questions.
So we have that's like a day-to-day for the first maybe 5 years of our marriage, because I came from a 2-family household. So like any argument that I didn't think was that serious, he would think would be more serious, because he was like, this is what splits people up. But I was used to conflict in my house because my parents had conflict, but they still stay together. Like they've been together since they were 13. So I've seen them. Yeah, they met in high school. So they've been together. They basically grew up together. So conflict in my house isn't the same as conflict in his house, and stuff that he took serious, I didn't. So I'd be like, oh, it's fine, whatever. We'll just have our moment and we'll come back together. And he was like, no, I saw it different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, the things that I was exposed to, especially at a young age, stuck with me even up until the time that I got married. So when things would happen, my reaction was like, I've seen the worst of it. And so that's what caused me to react sometimes maybe prematurely before giving it the opportunity to, run its course, or to even communicate it effectively, because I never saw what that looked like. And so for us coming into the marriage, that was one of the things that we didn't talk about, was how we were raised. we were more concerned about each other, but we never talked about what are the things that you were taught growing up versus the things that I was taught.
Mm-hmm.
We learned that real time, and it was completely different.
Yeah.
Okay.
Completely.
Do you mind sharing one instance that you guys had a complete opposite experience that possibly led to an argument, or it allowed the other to see something different?
I would say the first thing we first experienced was finances.
Okay.
Finances was the first thing.
I think the major probably is I going to kindergarten.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Okay. Thank you. So this was a sore spot.
Yeah.
So I was getting ready to deploy.
Okay.
No, we were deployed.
No, we were talking about it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and so Elysse was like, I think I'm gonna start Isaiah early because he was 4 at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And with me deploying, it was gonna it made it easier for her because she was going back to school up in Connecticut, and so it was a lot of moving parts. So with him going to school early, or going to school, that would make things a little bit easier. But also because Isaiah was just Isaiah, and he was ready for school.
And in Connecticut, the age you can start is in kindergarten. So for me, 4 is not that big of a deal.
Right.
So at 4, as long as he knows his ABCs, he can write his name, he was prepared. In my eyes, he was prepared to go. So the decision to start him in kindergarten wasn't that big of a deal until it became a big deal.
Right. And so for me, because me being a military brat and moving around a lot, I was like, I want to give him an opportunity to stay, in preschool at least one more year until we find a place that I get stationed to, because at the time I was deployed. So everything was still up in the air. So he was going to have to leave that school. So I was like, I don't want him to start that way based off of moving around a lot and things like that, because I experienced that and I know what that felt like.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when you're coming from one education system in one location and then you got to move to a totally different spot and it's just not the same. So I was against it. She still went ahead and did it. And so
every time Isaiah does something in school, probably up until this last year, if he did something or if the teacher's like he's not able to keep up, he'll bring up, this is why I didn't want him to start. This is why I didn't want him to start school.
Yeah, so it was a sore spot before.
He's very smart, but he is a little bit immature. But all our kids' birthdays don't meet the cutoff. Mm-hmm. So they all have to start school the following year because their birthdays are all after September 30th.
Right.
And so, but in Connecticut, that's not a thing. You can go to school whenever. So like I have been in Connecticut my whole entire life. Before I met him, I had no intentions of ever leaving Connecticut. I was not a person that wanted to go anywhere. I was content with going like a town or two over from where my parents lived, and that was going to be my life. Mm-hmm. So my mindset was when I went back home, A, I had no plans on coming out, leaving Connecticut again, and 2, I was going to get me and my kids settled, and that's why they went to school.
Yeah. So there was a lot of different agendas going on.
Yeah.
That in the background, that that's what caused us to have this miscommunication or inability to.
That is our conflict.
Okay. Okay, that's awesome. So a question. So I just want to clarify something for our viewers. When you say immature, do you mean that he was really active?
I just said that his thought process is not where it should be. I mean, his thought process, because he's a year younger than everybody. So he's in 6th grade and he should be in 5th grade. And his processing isn't there, but academically he hits it on the nail.
Right.
Like he can do the work. It's just when
socially.
Yeah, it's just his social emotional. It's just some of his, help me understand how you got there, because some of his processing, it just doesn't line up. Okay. But it lines up with his age.
Yeah.
Okay. So how are you overcoming it?
I think we had to have a come to Jesus meeting.
We did.
And I had to, because it was one instance where he came back and it wasn't even his social, emotional, or anything like that. I think his grades came back really easy. I think it was this year. Mm-hmm. His grades were like really bad and he just wasn't able to keep up. So we had to have a come to Jesus moment. And at that point it was like, well, he's gonna have to stay back, or we're gonna have to do something because this isn't working. Mm-hmm. And so, for Elysse, at that point, I didn't realize, with me hanging that over her head every single time, it was like poking at this decision and never giving her the opportunity to be like, you know what, if it didn't work, okay, I messed up, I'm sorry. you know what, I made a decision, but the fact that you keep holding it, it's a constant source, a constant wound to like my decision as a mother, and my capabilities to make decisions for the family. And so it stung her, and I didn't realize how much that hurt her, even though I was upset. So I had to let that go. Yeah. I had to eat it. And then at that point, it was more so, okay, how does this affect Isaiah? Because that should be the number one priority. Let's work on making sure Isaiah is where he needs to be. And truth be told, once we set him down and got him, set on a schedule, got him focused on what he needed to do, he has A's, and he's made A's and B's. He's on the A and B honor roll this entire year. So,
awesome.
So it's nothing about that. It's just us being able to be on the same page.
Awesome. So Elysse, I have a question for you.
Yes.
So by him consistently poking that, did it make you feel that you were incapable of making a conscious decision or a decision that you felt that was best? Is that how that it made you feel?
Oh, absolutely. At that point, it went from like a 2-parent home to 1-parent home. As you know, for deployments, they're gone. So Alex still wanted to be a part of it, but at that point, I had to make decisions. So like in real time, like you're 8, 9 hours behind me. So at that point, it was what was going to be best for the situation I was in. I went back home. I had 3 kids. I needed to finish school, and I needed to do what was best for me, the kids, and the living situation I was in. Because at that point, we were there for a year. So as I was ready to go, I felt in my heart, like, I know I work in early childhood education. Like, that is literally my career field. So I just felt like he was dinging something that I literally live, breathe, and talk. That, like, I know what I'm talking about, because Isaiah is capable of doing work. He has excelled. He's been in all these programs. Like, he's in accelerating classes. Like, he's in the gifted program. He can do it. And it's just like, you just had to trust in the situation. But I just always felt like it was because I made that decision without him. And so every chance he had, he would just like, see, that's why you need to stay back. I knew he couldn't do it. And instead of saying, let's figure out how we can make this work. But finally, he had to have a come to Jesus and be like, okay, let's do better. Because then when the other kids started school, it was the same thing. They're not doing that. We're not doing this, instead of it being a conversation.
Okay,
yeah. And then that, I think that part, what I missed in the process was being able to just be there and help him mature in that process. I was just see, you made a mistake and just left it. And just left it alone, rather than say, you know what, let me help him. Let me sit down. Let's go over this together. Let's go over this as a family. Let's just learn together. Like, I made the learning environment hard because I wasn't willing to understand that, okay, this is a decision that we made or that was made. All right, let's make the best of it. Let's work through it. Like, I didn't want to work through it.
And it's amazing because we do that as parents. I've actually done it too. Because sometimes we just want to point the finger instead of saying, okay, it's done. We can't do anything about it. So how do we come to a collective solution to make the situation better? So you guys finally figured a way to come together and make the situation better.
Yes.
Okay. So now he's excelling.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So difference of parenting, different decision-making process. But I can understand where Elysse comes from when, like, you're not here. I am doing a single parent thing, even though that I'm married, because you are deployed. So all the decision-making has to come from me. And as she said, you're 8 hours behind me. So I can make the decision, but I can come back and inform you, hey, this is the decision that is made. And I think that we get away from, as men, sometimes we get away and we feel that I'm the man of the house, and I should be able to be inside of the decision making process, when technically really can't in the situation that you're in, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And what's crazy, speaking on just I'm the man type of thing, she never brought it up, but it was a conviction that I felt that there were plenty of times where I made decisions on behalf of our family that didn't always pan out the way it was supposed to. And she never, I can give her credit, she never put it down. She always adapted and said, okay, let's figure it out. So for me to do that in that setting, I knew that was like a shot to her, because it was like, dude, you've done things that I've never came up and said, but you will hit me on this, and this has nothing. This is not as serious as you're making it compared to all the other things that were done before. So yeah, that was a serious hard conviction that I felt in that process.
Okay, awesome. So what's the hardest decision that the two of you had to make that one of you disagreed with?
Has agreed with?
Disagreed.
That you disagree. What's the hardest decision that you had to make, but there was a level of disagreement?
Oh, moving PCS into that when I got an assignment to University of Louisiana Tech, and this is my dream assignment. Like, this is something that I've been pushing for like every single year. Yeah. And so this was the time I finally made Tech. And so I was eligible for this role. And I had school almost knocked out. I had everything, credentials all lined up. So this was the perfect scenario. And so I was like, yes, I got my assignment that I wanted. It's ROTC, human resource processing. So it was like, okay, perfect. This is my perfect opportunity to finish school, put in my package for OTS, and we in there. And Elysse did not want to leave. And she was like, I don't want to go. I don't.
And are you saying that your current area that you live in now, or prior to?
No, current
area.
We would have been that.
We would have been gone by now.
We would have left this year. Mm-hmm. And we were, this is still a topic because we've been here almost 6 years. It'll be 6 years in July or June. We got here June 16th, so we're coming up on 6 years. And I'm at the point where I'm climbing my career ladder. And anywhere else I go, because it's a high cost area, I can still get the same job, but my pay will not be the same. Gotcha. And the way that I'm trying to move, my ultimate goal is to become a chief of the organization I'm with right now. And I'm being groomed as I am right now with the organization I'm with to be able to get to the next step to where I need to go. Mm-hmm. And so for the area that he wanted to go, and anywhere he wants to go, we're at a position where do I sacrifice my career and follow you to basically kind of start all over again? Or do I stay? We just bought a house too. So do we stay and you go and then you can just come back and visit? But the ROTC was his dream job, but it didn't make sense for our family because we didn't buy the house yet. We were still living on base. And the area, we wouldn't be attached to an installation, so I wouldn't be able to transfer my job. So we would just be attached to that university. And we were looking at homes. We even booked a flight. We're going to fly to Texas, drive to Louisiana to go look at the area to kind of figure out where it is because it's in the middle of nowhere. Mm-hmm. But it all worked out in the wash because, yes, he didn't get his dream job, but he was in the middle, like literally almost done with school. So would you have been able to finish school by starting a new job? And like we didn't know the area, and that town just desegregated in like 2014. Mm-hmm. And so it was still in the middle of the president election, so we didn't know which way we're gonna go. Mm-hmm. So it just like
it was COVID. Like that was like the height of COVID.
And they were not wearing masks and all that stuff down there. So it's like, do we really want to go down there to try to figure it out? And I went to Alabama, even though I loved it, that was enough to go down south.
Hey, get off my home state. Get off my home state.
But have you been up north? It's night and day. So
yes, I do understand.
It was like a culture shock, and it took me a long time to get adjusted. And I just felt like I did my bid. And at that point, send me back. Send me back up north.
I like the statement that you just made. You said that it's his dream job, but it wasn't smart for the family. Mm-hmm. Alex, how did you feel when she said that?
It was tough because everything in me wanted to just go. But this is after us having that come to Jesus meeting about Isaiah, where it's like, you know what's best for my family? Because that was a main factor. Because prior to that, I wanted to get out. And I wanted to get out right before COVID hit. I purposely didn't go to the re-enlistment briefings and none of that stuff because I knew I was getting out. I knew I was going to sign that separation and go to school. And we sat down and we talked it out, and we just said, hey, just let's just figure this thing out because we got a lot of kids, and we got, these kids need braces and they getting hurt every 5 minutes and just stuff going on. So I said, okay, let me just wait. Let me be, quick to listen, slow to speak. Let me just listen. And sure enough, COVID happened, and we were, all the universities shut down, and I wouldn't have been able to. We would have been basically homeless at that point. Yeah. And so going into this decision, my ears perked up because I was like, all right, let me listen. Let's weigh all the options. Yes, I can take this job and it can be everything I want it to be, but I also had a commitment to my other job, and I said, you know what? I've only been here for a year. Let me just wait this out and see where this goes. And I honestly think it was the best decision that I made, because I didn't want to. I'd rather have peace in my home, because a job is a job. That's, yes, it's my dream job, but is it my purpose? And so that's where I had to really focus in on, okay, where will you have me to be? Is this where I need to be? Is my family, like, where's my family at in this picture? And so I said no. And I'm glad I didn't. I'm glad we made the decision, because so many things have come after that have been a blessing that I couldn't see ourselves having had we moved to Louisiana.
Yeah.
Isn't it powerful how that God gives the spouse the wisdom that sometimes we don't want to face? Mm-hmm. And that's why I think it's so powerful, is that when God says that the wife is the helpmeet, it's the helpmeet because that you're making decisions. And when there are times that God can give her the wisdom and the knowledge about situations. And I can say sometimes we as men, we don't want to listen all the time, right? But sometimes we got to sit there. Well, not sometimes, all the times we got to sit there and we got to listen. Okay, so give us a funny story.
Mm-hmm.
What you got? No, you got something.
Funny story. Pertaining to what?
Hey, because you got a gang of kids, so hey.
Every day something.
Everything is every day.
It's something every single day. And because our kids have different personalities, we really don't know what we're gonna get. And so I think so the boys all, Isaiah has a cell phone. Mm-hmm. And
really?
He has a cell phone, and he's the oldest, so all his other brothers look up to him when he has his phone. So Xavier has one of his old phones. It don't work, but Xavier still walks around like he has it.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. So we had to give Zeke a phone, because just due to things that were happening around school. There was an
incident on a bus that we found out because my neighbor texted me and said that there was a video on Facebook that the bus driver was slamming on her brakes. And so luckily one of the kids on the bus called their parent. And so when the parent came to pick up, she recorded the whole incident. Long story short, the bus driver got fired. But as I was talking to the boys, they're like, yes, I kept hitting my head on the bus because she kept stopping it. And I was like, oh my gosh, like there was no way that they could have told me because they don't have a phone. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it was like, at this point, we need to get him, Ezekiel, a cell phone, because God forbid something happens on the bus, I want to be in the know and not have to find out from like Facebook that there was an incident involving my children.
Right. And so Zeke has displayed a lot of responsibility in the last year. And so we got him the phone. Mm-hmm. So when he comes in the room, he thinks he's in trouble. He's like, what happened now? I said, no, we want to talk to you. So we, told him how proud we were of him, of things he's been doing. We gave him his phone. So I said, don't let no one know you have your phone except your mother and your brothers. Nobody else needs to know you have a phone. Somehow, they assumed that I said just your mother, just meet your parents and not your brothers. He didn't hear the brothers part. Mm-hmm. So as he's walking out the door of our room, he's like, yes. As soon as he gets to the door, he puts his phone in his pocket, looks around, and just started walking around. And he walked by his brother's door, looked, and just kept walking like nothing happened. And I thought that was the funniest thing. Me and Elysse was just sitting there dying, because I was like, how does he know how to just, act like nothing happened? And yeah, so that was a pretty funny moment for us.
Hey, you got to share the story how he used your name in vain.
Oh my goodness.
Oh no, that's Xavier.
That's Xavier.
Xavier is the one that just makes up stories, and I don't know where he gets it from. It was so bad. Alex called me one day at work and was like, "Where did you take my son?" And Xavier said that he was at some man's house, and the guy's name, and he said the guy's name, and I said, "What?" And long story short, I took him to go pick up Ezekiel from his friend's house. But then, as we're in the car, Xavier's in the car, and he was like, "Mommy, you're sitting in the same spot Daddy had that lady sitting. She was sitting right there."
And you know who it was?
Who?
You know who it was?
No.
Sister Cheryl.
Yes. They were going to choir.
Going to church.
Going to church. And then I said, "Show me who did." He was like, "It's her right there." I said, "Oh my goodness." I was like, "She was sitting in my seat." But then Xavier, and he still does it to this day. He's like, "Mommy said you can do this." And now the boys, before they would take his word, but now they're coming verify, because they'll be like, "No, it didn't. Yes, you did." Or he still did it. I think he did it this week.
Yeah, he'll tell the boys, "Hey, Dad said we can go up to the street to play in the park." And I was like, "I didn't say anything." And then they sitting there mad at him. So
Yeah.
He's still doing it. He still used my name in vain.
Yeah, he's a little bit more sneakier with it.
Hey, because he's in charge, he said.
You think he's in charge.
He think he is, absolutely.
He's in charge. Okay, so which son has the braces?
Ezekiel.
Okay, so watch this. For 2 years, Ezekiel has had braces.
Mm-hmm.
I learned 2 weeks ago that he had braces.
Because he doesn't talk.
No, because we wore masks for 2 years.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, and he's
When
an
I
avid
was like, "You got braces?" He's like, "What did you get braces?" "Oh, right before the pandemic happened." It's like,
Yeah, and they're actually about to come off too.
Yeah.
wow,
In the summertime.
wow.
Yeah.
So, proud moments.
Buying a house. Buying our house was a really proud moment. It's kind of like a boss move. It all worked out. It was at the point where we were trying to get into this community. I was avid, like I wanted to live in this community, and we saw maybe like 15 or 20 houses in this one community. And then finally, like, we just could not get in. And I was just like, at that point, I was like, "No, we're gonna get in," because I said we're gonna get into this community. So we just started driving by and looking. We had to switch realtors because the first realtor just didn't get our vision and wasn't godly like we were looking for. So like actually Sister Keisha hooked us up with her realtor, which the realtor we got was phenomenal. So when I told her what I was looking for, because at the pandemic, as everybody knows, it was like crazy. People were waiving everything, like inspections, going way over, and we had a VA loan. So we were competing for a lot of cash offers and traditional mortgages that a lot of people just did not want to work with VA things, because like there's certain things that we cannot not do. Like we have to do certain things. We can't waive like a traditional mortgage. So I saw this house. I woke Alex up and I was like, "I want to go to this house." And we were driving up and down 95. And we were just talking about that the other day. I was like, I can't believe how often we were leaving work. I was leaving work early and just come down and grabbing all the kids in the car, picking them up from school early just to go down.
Thank you for watching Sunday Conversations. Remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Facebook. We look forward to seeing you next week as we continue to bring you relevant content. Remember, God has a purpose